Hey everybody, it's me, Matt Rogers, letting you know tickets are on sale now to see me on tour. The Prince of Christmas tour, that is. I'm doing my whole album, Have You Heard of Christmas, plus a lot more with the whole band all throughout December. Go to www.mattrogersofficial.com to see me in a city near you. And now, Las Cultch. Drums.
Look, man.
Where?
Oh, I see.
Wow.
Oh, my. Bowen, look over there.
Wow, is that
culture? Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah. Las Culturistas.
Ding dong! Las Culturistas calling in our green, as it were.
You know, it is a very present color in all of our lives. And yet, for someone to, I don't know, like really, I'm not going to say own it. But for
That's my color now vibes.
Well, and I'm not talking about us.
No. I'm talking about someone else
I'm already
who
sort of-
you'll hear about in a sec.
You'll hear from and about in a sec. I'm already sort of basking in the glow of this person. Because I'm fresh
How
off
could you
of-
not?
How could you not? I mean, this is the first time I'm seeing her in person in a long time. And I'm fresh off of seeing the film Wicked Part 1. Again, last night there was a screening.
Talk about this, because this was not just any screening.
No, this was so sublime. It was Broadway Friends and Family, so it was so many of the original cast of Wicked, but also all the casts since over the 21 years the show has been on around the world. Kristen was there, Norbert was there.
Wow.
So many wonderful, wonderful people. I'm missing so many people. Carrie St. Louis was there.
I saw that.
One of our famed Glindas, and it was just the warmest crowd. I couldn't believe it. You know what was also crazy?
What?
Children of the original cast.
Oh, so now it's truly generational,
It's-
and it. See, that's the great thing about this, and I think that it's like hitting everyone right
Yeah,
now. It's like
yeah.
this is meaningful on meaningful, because I've also seen the film. It was a little bit of a different situation. It was a
course.
very small screening room, and I was just telling our guests when I saw it, I was like, "Are people going to turn up the way I'm going to turn up?"
because it was a smaller theater.
Yes,
Smaller screen.
and I can say that they did, but it's so, when you're watching the movie, what's so incredible about it, and I don't know why I had to realize this, but I was like, oh, we're also honoring The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
This is generations of cinema. The Wizard of Oz is the story, and so Wicked is the story.
Yes.
And it's just, to watch it land on people like that must have been really, really, really monumental.
So monumental. Oh my God, I can't believe you're here. I love you so much.
I mean, just to speak on, by the way, what a huge year for Green.
Big year for
Green.
Green.
You did that this year. You really got your stripes.
And I'm sorry, can you remind us what
Well,
other...
Brat Green.
Oh, Brat Green, of course.
Well, there was famously Brat Green, and now there's Elphaba Green.
I think Green was very present at the various tennis opens of the world.
100%, Bo.
You know, golfers.
Because of the color of the grass.
of the grass.
Green
tennis
is forever.
grass.
It's actually Rule of Culture number 6. Green is forever. Our guest today is one of the most brilliant artists of any generation, an Emmy, Grammy, and Tony winner, an Oscar-nominated actress and songwriter, just a truly brilliant star who we're here to announce is Elphaba. You heard it here first.
It here. Breaking news.
Playing Elphaba in Wicked. I mean, when you see this, you are going to be truly lifted. I mean, and I don't even say that as a pun.
No, oh, right. Oh,
Because
there
of
you
the
go.
famous lifting that happens. Not a spoiler.
She's also the patron saint of the Kennedy Center at this point.
I have to. If you don't think I'm going to bring up Alfie,
Oh.
you didn't think. If you
Nothing
didn't think I was
compares to you.
to don't talk to me.
Don't talk to me until I've had my Cynthia.
Cynthia.
Okay, everyone, welcome into your ears.
The magnificent
Cynthia Erivo!
Thank you for having me.
How are you feeling since last night?
Well, I'm feeling very, very floaty. Last night
Yes.
was crazy and amazing. Many, many things were happening
You were
all at
bouncing around
once.
all over town.
I was bouncing around all over town. So I started at the CFDAs, went back to the screening. I was hanging out at the screening for a little bit, which was so surreal. I had an outer body experience.
yeah.
So I was standing at the back of the theater. First of all, when I walk in and there's all the Elphaba standing there and all the Glindas standing there, and then there's Kristen right in the middle, and she welcomes me. We have this massive hug. Kristen is amazing, and I'd already spoken to Adina, so that was already sort of a metaphysical thing that was going on.
Yeah.
And so I felt like, oh, I'm part of this incredible sisterhood, which you are, but when you see it in like real life, that sort of becomes an actual core memory.
Yes.
And then we move upstairs and then we speak and we start talking about what it means to us. And as I'm waiting for us to go up, I realized that I'm standing in front of a Broadway family, one of which I belong to because of my history and the things I've been through and Color Purple and all of that. And I'm like, oh, two things are happening at once. So I'm getting to show this film that is from Broadway to a Broadway family from which I belong. I just had like a massive, it's not even a meltdown, but like a real realization of the journey that I've been on and what it might mean to them and what it might mean to me. And it became so much. It was already a big moment, but that became a really huge moment to be a part of.
You were enveloped in it.
Yeah. I had to be like, I've got to breathe. I can't even, I feel like I'm so out of body. It was so insane. And then because I had to rush back, I really didn't want to leave immediately. So I hung out at the back and watched just like the first 20 minutes of the film with everyone. And just to see, like, hear it, the laughs and the tears that happened immediately and the applause. And it was working, you're like, oh,
yeah, it's playing.
My makeup artist was saying there's this piece in Madonna's Truth or Dare, and when they're standing in a circle and they're about to go on show, and it's in her hometown, and she says, she's shaking and she goes, it shouldn't matter, but it does matter what they think.
Of course.
And I was like, that's the case for me. It does matter what this legacy, what this room thinks of this piece.
Yeah.
And to be in the room whilst they were like accepting it and open-armed for it was beyond my wildest dreams.
Yeah. How are you managing overall your emotions around this moment? Because it's
sometimes I'm not.
That's what I mean.
But
it's
how
like,
could you?
Is it
in a
like,
way?
do you have like time to yourself in the mornings where you like actually let things out, like, or do your emotions like surprise you in moments like that?
They surprise me. Sometimes I feel like I'm really like I'm in control of what's going on, and I can manage everything. And then the other times they just like spill out.
Yeah.
Unexpectedly, a little thing will happen, and I go, oh my god.
Yeah.
But it's like we were talking about this before with like John and with Ari. It's like it's because we kind of put it to the side, we compartmentalize it, we put it in a drawer, and now it's all coming back.
Yes,
and like you are these things are popping out of not nowhere, but like intermittently because it was something that you sat with for years.
Yes.
And I feel like, was that your first time watching it in a bigger room last night?
With an audience.
Wow.
On a bigger screen.
On a bigger screen with many people.
Yes.
That is a very different experience to
Then,
sitting
like, being
in
sent the link.
Correct. It's very different because I watched that movie basically with two other people. It was me and like my publicist or something.
Yeah.
And we just sat and watched, or a friend, and that was it. And I'd been craving to watch it in a theater with other people who had never seen it before, who were just coming to it for the first time.
Yeah.
So to sit, like, to watch people react just off the cuff, insane. It's a completely different energy. It's the wildest, most energy-filled, most electric feeling you could imagine. I can't wait to do it again.
Yes.
Can't wait to do it again.
Do
Again and again.
it as much as you can, because something. I mean, we're talking to you as like. To you as someone who's obviously been in films before with theatrical releases, but like I don't know, like
different though.
It's just different, and also of course it's different. But also the thing that I miss about Matt and I were in a movie once that didn't come out in theaters, but we went to like the premieres and stuff and the screenings, and it was like, oh, I'll miss this so much, just sharing the space with people as they're watching this at the same time.
Yeah,
and to give it the cinematic sort of opportunity that it deserves, because we were talking to Ariana last week on the pod, and one thing that struck me was when you're shooting it, you're at work and you're shooting it. So there's the tape. Yeah. You know what I mean? There's your mark. There's the guy with the camera. So then all of a sudden it can feel easy to slip into, oh, I'm at work, I'm doing the scene.
Yes.
I'm talking to my friend, I'm on my phone when I'm not like here.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you see Oz.
Yes. And it's all together and everything, like all of those miniature things that make it happen, all the stuff that like are semantics go away.
Yes.
And now like the thread is there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
then
everything's
you're
sewn together. It's
wow, we made a big fucking movie.
It's insane.
Yeah.
The thing is huge. It's
Major.
wild.
Yeah.
And like I keep going back. Even I was in it, but I go back and I watch and I go, I didn't see that last time. Oh my gosh, I didn't notice that that person did that. I didn't know that I was. Why did I roll my eyes at that point? When did he catch that? When did
I
I
know.
do that? I don't remember. So you're catching up on all the things that you may have done in the moment that you didn't remember you even did, or you didn't remember was there,
Right.
and now all of a sudden you're like, oh my god, that is where I was.
Yeah.
And that's Elphaba
and
now.
that's right.
And that is another thing, is it's just like you've contributed such a beautiful, strong, funny, powerful Elphaba.
Thank
And I
you.
wanted to ask specifically about one choice in the film, because
Yes.
this really is what blew people back in their chair.
I know what you're going to
Yeah.
talk about.
So much said
Yes.
about Defying Gravity, and
Yes.
in that, the last note, right?
Yes.
The gut
Yes.
that you put in that note,
Yeah.
that battle cry, that roar,
Yeah.
is so different than the way you've approached vocally the rest of the performance
Yeah.
the whole time. Can you talk about that choice and like the collaboration with John on deciding how to make that note the Elphaba 2.0 that
Yeah.
launches us into Wicked Part 2?
Well, we knew that for her, this was the beginning of her journey, almost like the beginning of what we know will become the Wicked
The
Witch.
Wicked Witch, yeah.
But it had to be, for both of us, the release of everything. It had to be a raw.
Yes.
So I didn't. It's not like I didn't necessarily want to make it pretty. So there has to be like a guttural. It has to come from that place. That's the beginning of like the rage and all of that grit. So we just were like, what do we want it to sound like for me? And each Elphaba has their own battle cry. Each Elphaba has their own roar. And we spent some time searching for what that felt like, what that could be. And the moment I did it and tried it, everyone was like, "That's
it.
That's it."
Because the
That's
rest
the
of Elphaba in part one, the vocal sort of the quality in the timbre is so clean, and it's so and in a lot of ways what we know to be like Cynthia Erivo's voice is like it's just so
Purity.
pure.
And
you.
there's like it's almost like it's always intimate. Like
Yeah.
you singing I'm Not That Girl is such a beautiful, and you don't really understand when you watch it on stage. Obviously we enjoy the song, but when we can be
That
really
close.
with you
Yeah.
and you're singing it, it actually makes Defying Gravity even more heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Like that's why it's going to be amazing to watch on a second,
Yeah.
third, fourth, eighth, ninth, millionth time is because the arc
The journey. Yeah.
it really lands, and in that last note,
Yeah.
like I just can't wait for everyone to see it that said it should have been one movie. It's like, please, yeah, let's
no
keep
way.
watching it after that.
No
We need a
way.
break. The curtain
need
has
a break.
dropped. Like,
There's no way.
There's no
And the
way.
thing is, I love that people are so passionate and they like should have been one movie, and I understand, but because we were there and we shot the second movie,
Yeah.
there's not a chance.
No.
There's no way. There's no way it could be one movie. There's no way. There's too much.
yeah.
There's
to
too
make
much, and even there's something to be said about part one
Yes.
running in at a certain time.
Yes.
But it's like, it moves.
Yes.
And
Moves.
even then, I think, even last night, I was like, things can breathe even more
Yes.
if we let them.
Yes.
Like a lot was cut out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a lot was like, oh, I guess we're trying to service the audience experience by like not making them sit there for too long.
yes.
And yet it still came in at like 2 hours and 40 minutes or whatever.
That's it. Yeah. And we still
Never felt it was
Do you see what
long.
I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
can you imagine? We went on to the second part.
No
we'd never leave.
way!
I was like,
freaking way.
because you couldn't move on to Thank Goodness at that point.
No, you can't. It's
Like,
impossible.
Without Defying Gravity suffering and the rest of the movie
Right.
after that suffering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Literally, the
Everyone
song
has
brings
to
the
be like,
curtain
I need to
down.
go away. We have to all go away.
Right.
We have to, because like
See you in a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me process. Let me come back. Let me see it again. Let
Yes.
me, we'll see this. We'll get back.
Yeah.
We'll get back.
And also, what's lovely about waiting for the second is that there is growth happening in that time. So what happens in a year is like the growth that happens
Totally.
for everyone that comes back the second time around.
Time passes
Time
between the
passes,
acts.
exactly. Yeah.
And to speak about like how you don't want to let any moment not have its true, expanse.
Yeah.
I think one of the most unforgettable moments I've seen in a film in a really long time,
Yeah.
to speak on just this one segment, is Dancing Through Life.
Yeah.
When you come in and it's the hope and the, this chance to have a real social moment and the disappointment and the realization that you've been tricked.
Yeah.
I just think that entire sequence, I could get chills. I mean, I don't think there was a dry eye. And that just...
If you had stayed for that last night, you would have crumbled. I'm
People
telling you. Not
must
that
have
you're
been
not
really-
a strong person.
What happened?
It's just people.
They lose their
Everyone.
faculties.
It was a cacophony of sniffles and
No.
like
Yeah.
everyone
Oh,
was
it's-
losing it. Cynthia.
It is a beautiful moment. And I wanted to ask about shooting that.
Yeah.
But like that must have been so vulnerable and exposing
Yeah.
and tough.
Yeah. That was a hard day.
And I thought
was a hard
when
thing.
when I was watching it, I was like, I wonder where she's at. Like,
It was hard.
yeah.
It's hard. You sort of, because you have to process. I think I really understand Elphaba's ownership of loneliness and like knowing she feels different, knowing she's not one of everybody else, and deeply wanting to. There's a part of us that we all want to be accepted, even when we know that we can't or we're different and we're on the outside. I think that because I understood that, that's where I'm in my head. So it just, funneling all the times when I feel alone, all the times when you want to be accepted, all the times when you feel like you're on the outside, all the times when you just can't connect with everybody. And it's just that replays in your head and in your body as well. And when you're doing something like that, where you are really on your own, the loneliness is really loud. So you just have to process all of that, and that's what happened. And every time it was like, the more you do it, the deeper you go, the deeper you go, the deeper you go. So by the time I think he got that shot, it was like there was like nothing left. It was just I couldn't hold anything.
Yeah.
Well, my memory of it is that every single setup, every single take, you gave it a perfectly calibrated, vulnerable, raw thing. And it was really beautiful to watch and also very difficult. And so if it was difficult for me to just even stand by the wayside, like I can't imagine the sort of buckling and and all that you were giving in service to this project. And like that is I think like the takeaway for everybody for this movie is that like this film is telling this huge universal story, but then for the performer, for Cynthia to be the vessel of Elphaba, this character, like you gave it so much. You gave so much of yourself. And I remember you at the end of that sort of segment of shooting that, you turned to everybody and thanked them. And we just all applauded, and it was just such a beautiful, loving moment of sort of communion, because we'd all sort of been through it in a way.
Through it with me. Yeah, I felt really supported and held. Like it felt
genuine care.
Yeah, it felt like there was the most amazing energy in the room. It felt like, and there's like a circle of like strength. We all have to do what we have to do, but actually in the core of everyone's heart, I could feel like energy. Just hold the circle, keep the energy, keep the space. And there was such respect for what was going on and what needed to happen. So no one was too loud. It was all like quiet when it needed to be quiet, and space when there needed to be space. And I felt so loved, so taken care of during that. That to have finished without saying thank you would have been impossible, because I knew that it's a hard thing to. It's hard enough for me to play the person who is alone and going through that, but I think it's just as hard to play anyone who has to reject someone who is that as well. Because also I was aware that so many people on that set are versions of Elphaba.
Yeah.
We're all the queer kids who are out, and who are pushed on the outside. So everyone in that room is sort of watching a version of themselves in this moment. I just that's something that came to me when I had finished, and I looked around. I was like, we all understand this, and so to have to play the people who are rejecting it, must also be deeply difficult to
It's
deal
a very
with.
hard thing to also sit in that emotion
Yes.
of guilt and
Yes.
shame that you have allowed someone to feel this
Yeah.
way, which is why it's such a moment for Glinda as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like that is the scene that solidifies the relationship
Yeah.
because it is both of you confronting the way you really feel.
Yeah.
And and then it launches into Popular, which is so joyful
Yeah.
and so expressive
Yeah.
and colorful, but it's just so successful.
Thank you.
Two things.
Yes.
I mean, thank you for acknowledging, even though it's a fraction of what you had to go through on a performance level, like there was something, I remember like in the circle where between takes, like we would just turn to each other and be like, it feels really bad for us to like snicker and laugh at this person.
Yeah.
And we had to do that take after take.
Yeah.
And then I remember coming up to you a bunch and being like, how are you doing? I'm so sorry. I was like, it feels so unnatural for me, a gay man, to bully Cynthia Erivo. I'm like, this is so wrong. And then the second thing, which is what Matt's saying, like launching into Popular.
Yeah.
I remember John turned to me last night and was just like, it's so great how the audience is immediately in love with Glinda and Elphaba as
Yes.
friends.
Yeah.
The second Dancing
Yes.
for Life is done.
Yeah.
And that's just, it just comes from
happens,
that
yeah.
moment, you know?
It's lovely. I love my favorite part of that scene in between Dancing Through Life, the Ozdust, and Popular. The scene that we have in the bedroom. I think it's just such a tender, sweet scene. Well, there's. Ari and I were saying that the two of them are so awkward. They're like figuring it out. Like,
Yeah.
how do we
hang out?
How do we hang out?
Yeah.
Like Elphaba's never been at a sleepover before, so she's like kind of awkward and not really like doesn't really know what to do. And Glinda's, I think, also equally awkward. Like how do I hang out with this person, and how do I share the space? And they're sort of figuring it out. And the way they like undulate and figure it out together, and then finally like land on the floor, and then it's you know it's tomorrow.
It's tomorrow.
I just love how they find their way to that, and
Yeah.
then Popular happens. I think that's the journey for them. They find each other,
Yeah.
and you know, for Elphaba to give that sort of, she confides in. It's sort of like, I trust you. I'm going to trust you with this thing that I don't think Elphaba's told anyone that story. To be honest, I think it's the first time she's voiced it. And I think there's just a really wonderful moment of them deciding to trust each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To speak on the collaboration between you and Ariana, so I would imagine you get this part, and do
Yeah.
you find out pretty immediately that the role will be played by Ariana Grande, or is
Soon after.
Yeah.
I don't think I found out on the call, but I think I found out soon after, maybe like a day after, and they let me know what was going on. And I was like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Good.
So is it that like you know you're up for it, and do you hear who's up for the other thing?
No,
I mean,
I
you
said, don't tell me a damn
Don't
thing.
tell me
Yeah.
anything.
Don't tell me anything. I didn't want to know. I don't want to know who was going up for it. I didn't want to even know until they needed me to come in. I said,
Right.
give me no information. Give me nothing. I don't want to know.
Yes.
Tell me if they actually want me to come in.
Right.
That's all I want to know.
Right.
Got
And
it.
they didn't. I said, I don't care who's going in. I don't want to know. When and if they want me, then I will know.
Yes.
That's all I wanted.
Meaning the audition or actually playing the role?
The audition.
The whole
So
thing.
so this is wild to me that Cynthia Erivo would have to audition for anything just because it's like, well, clearly, like
Yeah,
we know this is going to be brilliant, but you do have to audition. And when
Yeah.
you do you sing Defying Gravity?
Yes.
Wow.
You sing Defying Gravity, you sing The Wizard and I, you sing For Good, you
Wow.
do a bunch of scenes. But they were really, really respectful. I actually think what happened was, because I think I was the last to come in, I think John and I had a couple of conversations, and then I waited a couple of weeks, and then they came back with, we want you to come in, and it was a camera test essentially. So I was there for 3 hours, my audition, and that was the one and only thing I came in to do. I think they were deeply, deeply respectful. I think they were trying. I think John had teed it up for me to. It was mine to lose.
Got it.
Essentially, I feel like he gave me the most amazing platform to come in and do my work, and then let it be. And I think that's probably why. But I love that I got the chance to come in and show how much I wanted it and show how much it meant to me. And I was prepared to come in a couple times if they needed me to,
Yes.
because I think the role deserves that.
Right.
Yeah.
I think the role needs it. It's not enough to want to come in because you can sing. It's not enough to come in because you can act. I think there are layers that he was looking for. And I remember when he said the thing that swung it for him was the way I did The Wizard and I. He said there was like a vulnerability that I hadn't seen in the other roles, like a youthful, hopeful energy that the other roles don't give you the chance to do. Harriet does not give you the chance to do that.
Right.
And because there's so much more depth. It's like deep and hard and, resilient.
Yeah.
And Belle, who is in Widows, it's not that.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Fantastic
but
in Widows.
But it's a different energy.
Yeah, so
you know?
in a way, this is really showing a totally new side of you.
Yeah, and so I think he wanted to see like the wide-eyed openness that I have, but I don't necessarily get the chance to share.
Right.
And The Wizard and I gave that energy to him.
Yeah.
So I was just, I think I was lucky that he allowed me to express that and show it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also what it takes to hold the responsibility of playing something so iconic is something that you've done several times. I was thinking about, your
Harriet,
sort of
Aretha,
oeuvre, like, Harriet,
Holly.
like Aretha Franklin, Celie.
Yeah.
I mean, like these come with scrutiny, yes, but also
History.
responsibility and
Yes.
history.
Literally,
yeah.
And so I was wondering, because this seems like a pattern, does that excite you, or is this like happenstance that these happen to be like these iconic things, or do you find that you're like, that thing that everyone's gonna watch,
Examine.
I'm not afraid of that. I want to run to that. Are you running to these things?
I think by accident I'm running to them because I'm not necessarily running to them because I know that people are watching or inspecting them. I think I'm running to them because they're the most interesting people to play.
Yeah.
The ones who have like depth and history, and there's complexity in it all the way around. I just think they're interesting characters. First and foremost, they're people who have wants and needs, and maybe there are parts of them that maybe haven't been discovered, and I want to like open them up even more and play and learn them even more. I think I'm intrigued by that.
Yeah.
And then the layer of like, but also so many people know about this person.
Right.
And so many people are invested in this person.
And projecting onto that person.
Real or
Correct.
fictional.
Yeah.
Yes. How much of like I would say like the initial gut level Elphaba in the audition do you think was retained by the final product?
I think maybe about, I want to say like 60%.
Wow.
And I learned a lot when I was there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you know what I love? I've heard you talk about how a lot of roles you approach, you start with the walk.
Yeah.
And I love how you kind of the opening shots of Elphaba are of her walk.
Yeah.
And you literally start on the close-up of the shoes, of the feet, as she sets foot on shiz. And I think from immediately you understand that your take on Elphaba is really new and beautiful. It's like she's not like drab or like awkward or uncomfortable. She's very self-assured.
Yes.
She's there to like support her sister.
Yeah.
And even in that first monologue where we're all like gawking at you, like, oh my God, who's she? You're like, okay, like, in a way, like, I like, and I love and celebrate, like, as we're talking about the Elphabas of yore, it's like, there's such a wonderful blueprint of how this has been, and for you to like honor that and also sort of divert is really special. And I feel like that must have come from like your experience with playing all of these very
different women,
ambitious
I think,
women.
and it was, it's like it's not on purpose to be like I'm going to change everything now. No, I just once I put her shoes on, and I think because of my own understanding, and everyone has a different understanding of what it is to be different and what it feels like to be sort of like on the outside. I just thought to myself, she's been in the skin for her whole life. Yeah. It's not new for her. People staring at her, it's not new for her. People having a weird like reaction to her, not new.
Yeah.
Her needing to be the support for her sister, not new.
Yes.
Her getting yelled at by her father, not new. It's like this is all stuff that she's been through already and has like it's in her skin. It's in her DNA.
It's the assignment of her
Exactly.
life
That's
to deal
what it
with
is.
this bullshit.
So like the choice is, I'm either gonna be mad my whole life, or I'm gonna get to the joke before everybody else does.
Right.
And if I can get to the joke before everyone else does, and it is a form of defense. If I get there before everybody else, then I can't be hurt if someone else gets. They're already behind.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah.
I'm not this. I'm not that.
You
and
can't call me weird if I
already
this.
say it myself.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I know what I'm in. I know what I look like. I know where I've been, and I know what you're thinking.
Right.
Like one of my favorite lines in that when you first meet her is, "Here's my sister Nessa, and she's a perfectly acceptable color." Like because no one else says, "Oh, this is." We don't. She already knows.
Yeah.
She knows that's what everyone's thinking.
Right.
And it's like she said it. It's like, oh, here we go. You know.
Totally.
And I think that's how she functions.
Is that a defense mechanism that you relate to?
Yes.
Yeah.
You get there first.
Always
Yes.
you get there first.
Get
And
there first.
It's a queer thing, I think.
Yeah.
It's a queer
too.
thing, and like it works on some level until it doesn't.
Exactly.
Until you're at the Oz dust.
Right.
It's just self-defense until
Yeah.
you're building a weapon.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Charlie XCX.
Charlie XCX under the chat.
And Lord.
And Lord. Wait, but you know what? I'm not going to spoil something, but like there's a moment at a very critical juncture of this film where
Yes.
there's like an inner child healing
Yes.
moment.
Yeah.
And it is executed so every emotional beat of this movie lands, which is not to say that the rest of the movie like doesn't work on any level. It's just the underpinnings of this movie are purely emotional,
Yes.
and that's like a testament to you. And this moment of like the inner child,
Yes.
like for a long time I kind of rolled my eyes at that concept. It was
wow.
like, oh, you have to like what is like inner like
Right,
I gotta
right.
talk to like the young version of myself. I roll. Something about this movie really like cracked me the fuck open with that concept. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's like what you're saying with like, oh, Elphaba, like, and we all kind of grow up with these.
Yeah. It's because you don't think that because throughout the movie, the inner child is not on the outside.
Yeah.
And I think that's actually how most of us function. Like we don't realize that we're all healing like deep-seated wounds that are on the children that we were.
Yes.
But it's usually not obvious. We don't know. And I don't even think she knows until she knows.
Until she knows.
You know, she remembers certain things, and there are things that we like that she keeps to herself, and it shows up in like flickers, and when she gets yelled at by her father, it's like an immediate sort of like call to what has been, but she doesn't. There's no real acknowledgement until she has to acknowledge that that's what she's running away from, and that's what she has to move towards.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
As you were sitting here, it's just so funny because I had a moment where I started to get a little emotional because I'm remembering, and this is a little bit of a left turn, but when you performed I'm Here on the Tony Awards, that was, I believe it was a couple days or maybe the day after Pulse. And I just remember how much that meant to me and to so many people. It felt like you were putting a warm blanket over everyone. And so I guess just like thank you for the gift of that performance, like retroactively now years later. But also in terms of like being given these opportunities to give these live performances.
Yeah.
Because we mentioned Alfie earlier.
Yeah.
You know, Nothing Compares. It's another opportunity that is very high stress that you seem to be running towards. And so I would...
She's
I
a
guess
runner.
ask,
She runs.
I am.
She's a runner. She
Yes.
runs.
Yes.
We saw Widows. But like, again, those opportunities, which will probably come forever.
Yeah.
Do they excite you? How are you feeling in the moments of receiving offers to do things like that, receiving calls to do things like that, and the moment of doing things like
When
that?
it comes to as a singer, I do go towards them.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if I wasn't meant to, they wouldn't come my way. And I think there are moments of great responsibility to connect with people, like, I know people say that actors, we're not saving lives, but I think that there is an aspect of maybe we can heal a couple of people.
Singing
maybe
is
we can
different.
crack
Music is
people,
different.
You know,
Yes.
we can crack people open. We can like connect. We can help you connect with things that you might not have thought of. We can help you heal a little thing and think of something. And I feel like that's my duty. That's my work.
Yeah.
That's the grander design of the gift that I've been given to sing.
Yeah.
So when opportunities like that come, singing at the Kennedy Center, of course I'm going to stand there and give Dionne Warwick her flowers. Of course I'm going to like share with her the moment that I really fell in love with her, the fact that her voice is the seminal voice for Alfie, for me.
Yes.
You know, I want to connect with her on that. You know, of course I'm gonna sing. I think there was a performance of I'm Here that I had to do after like the last crazy election that we had to do, and people were like in tears. I knew that I had to go to work to be like, hey, we're okay. When I was asked to sing Imagine at the GLAAD Awards after Pulse in dedication to, of course I'm going to come in and sing that because we're going to be okay.
Do you feel that way?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. I really believe that is my work, and to validate people's feelings, the feelings that we have through music.
Yeah.
I really think that there is a bigger purpose at hand when you have a voice, when you can use music to connect with people. It's not enough to just sing a song. What is the point?
Yeah.
But if you can use music and tune and notes and lyric to connect, to validate a person's feelings, to send them off and feeling better, to tell them that we'll move through this, it's going to be okay, that this is a gateway to healing, fine. I'm happy to do that. I'll do it.
Yeah, it's funny because your performance of Alfie, like I always knew the song.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it was like I was hearing it for the first
Yes.
time. And it was so funny because like I had gone through a situation with someone and didn't realize that song was speaking to that experience
Right.
until I was, and it actually empowered me because
Yeah.
it's like, I know what love really is.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's so it's like it's twofold. It's you expressing and telling that story, but also honoring her.
Yeah.
And I wonder, like, did you have a conversation with Ms. Warwick afterwards?
Yes.
And, yeah.
She was very happy.
Good. 'Cause
She was
she's
very,
tough.
very happy. She's tough, but she was happy.
Good.
She was
Of course.
happy. She was happy. She said, "No, you didn't need to sing it like that,
Yeah.
now, did you?" I was like, "Well, be careful now." I was like,
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Major moment.
Thank you." Yeah,
Oh,
she was happy, and I
yeah.
could see her up in the box, and she was like verklempt and tearful, and I was like, "Okay, I'm doing."
The thing of
Yeah.
them watching you in that type
Terrifying.
of arena too is so wild.
It's insane.
Yeah.
The Kennedy Center is something that is so grand. It's one of those, you have to figure out how to fill the room.
Yeah.
And for me, I have to fill the room standing in one spot. That's what I do. I stand and sing, and every detail for me is like, what's the dress? That's
Yes.
not the right one. We need this.
Yep.
And what's the orchestration? We need this orchestration. No, we're not going to, if we rush this and we make this 2 beats too fast, it's not going to, it won't land the way. We need breath. We need space. And I was like, I had spoken to the orchestrator, Lenny, who is amazing. I said, do not start this until I am set at the mic and I take a breath. We have to reset. I need a reset before we begin. And he didn't, because the production wanted me to, they wanted the music to start before I'd.
Because they wanted to move. They're
Right.
thinking
Exactly.
this is
And I
a
was like,
live
programming.
thing.
don't you dare.
Yeah, we can edit
Don't
it.
you dare.
Yeah.
You wait.
It's a hospitality principle.
Yes.
It's like you have to be unreasonable about the way you make people
Yes.
feel.
Yes.
And
Wow.
that is what you were
Yeah.
doing. And I loved this interview that you and Renee Rapp had at Electric
Yeah.
Lady.
Love that.
You guys are relating about being Capricorns. Like, this is, I think, is this part of Capricorn identity? Like, having this sort of vision, having the
Yeah,
conviction
I think so.
to tell yourself, like, this is what
This
my
is what
charge
I want.
is. Yes.
Yeah, this is the charge. This is the job. This is how I'm going to do it. Very clear about that. Yeah.
Because this thing of you guys talking about how, like, you need to believe. It sounds like I'm just saying, rolling my eyes at myself at this. It's like I always didn't really quite believe the idea of like you got to believe in yourself or else nobody else will. It's like, but then like it doesn't make any sense any other way.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
That's right.
That has to be the sequence of things
Correct.
in order for you to like do
Move
what you
and go.
guys do.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, because there are literally times where only you believe the thing that is going to happen for
Uh-huh.
you, and there's no one else. But why should anyone else believe if you don't? Like, why? There's no
Why?
reason to. But if you know and you have a clarity about what it is you're meant to do and what and how you're meant to do it, then it's easy for someone else to see it.
Right.
Because you can see it. Yeah.
You talk about getting involved with the color purple in a sort of not lo-fi, but like not necessarily a production in England that seemed like it was going to do what it did. Would you consider that to be the biggest risk you've taken? Is like really going for that role on that scale?
I don't think it was a risk at all. I was so sure that I was meant to be doing it. I was so sure, and it could have been in someone's front room.
Size of the stage did not matter.
And did not matter. I just knew if it was coming, I was meant to do it.
Yeah.
I was so clear about it. There was not one part of me that was like, well, this is risky. I don't know what I'm going to do. I was so sure about it.
Yeah.
You were on tour with Sister Act. You heard that it was
Yes.
it was like they were seeing people for it.
Yes.
And
I
then
said I want to play the role.
ding.
Yeah.
I'm going to be doing that.
Yeah.
Damn.
And everyone else was like, but are you sure? Like, what if they ask you to do like the first cover? I was like, no, I want to play the role.
Yeah.
I know that the role is what I'm supposed to be doing. And the first cover is amazing. But this is the role. The role I want. I'm so sure about it. This is what I want.
Yeah.
What
you
is-
have to be like that.
What
I
is
guess.
that? Is that intellectual, emotional? Like, where does that?
I think it's
that
both.
live?
I think it's
Yeah.
like I think in the first instant it was like a guttural, emotional knowledge.
Yes.
And then it became
How am I going to do
How
this?
am I going to do it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love this.
Yeah.
So much. Oh my God.
This much of my
Cynthia.
life is like this.
No, but this is
Terrible.
but like look where it's gotten you.
I know, yeah.
You know?
Like the emotion is there and like the feeling is there and then task.
Yeah.
How do we do this?
It's not holding you back in
Yeah.
any way. So like what's wrong with that?
True.
You know?
Yeah.
How do you unwind? What do you do to like chill?
I need a sleepy time tea.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I love a tea. I will carry a tea with me everywhere I go.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
But it's bedtime. I get myself in my PJs. I like a particular PJ. Like I will wear an outfit to bed. You know,
Okay,
I love
so
to dress.
It's a look.
Yeah,
Very
it's a
French
look.
European thing.
Yeah,
Like
I have to dress
perfume.
to be.
Yeah.
My perfume. I like
Yes,
get ready
nighttime
for bed.
routine.
Full nighttime
Skincare
routine,
down.
skincare, the whole thing.
Yeah, okay.
Then I will like get cozy. I'll put on a movie or a TV show.
Yeah.
Before bed, and then I'll journal and then sleep. That's my thing.
Do you watch comedies or do you like to?
I'm like comedies or like light dramas.
light
Yeah.
dramas.
Yeah.
Nothing crazy.
Nothing crazy.
Yeah.
I can't, people who watch like 60 minutes before bed or
No.
like the
No.
the first 24 hours, 48 hours. I don't know how you do it.
No.
Yeah.
It's too much for me. I don't want to watch that.
Of course.
Daytime for me if
Yeah.
I'm watching those things. But for me, it's nighttime, like something light fare,
Yeah.
Right.
fun, something that lifts, and then to bed.
To bed and then up at what, 5 a.m.?
Sometimes
Uh-huh.
between 5 and
To
7
run.
to run, to walk, to Pilates, whatever.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I have to do something.
You and Michelle Yeoh every day on set on production of Wicked, just the most godly people. Both of you getting up, doing your runs, doing your workouts. I'm like, I need to get my shit together. I was so in awe.
But there was no other way to do this role.
You think so?
I couldn't. I needed the physical movement.
Yes.
Not just for like the actual physicality of it, but for the emotion of it all.
course.
I needed to be physical because I needed to make sure my body was ready for all the flight work.
Right.
All that harness work doesn't work if you haven't got your core together, if you haven't got your body
course.
together. It really does have to get ready for what
Yes.
kind of onslaught you get when you're in a harness and
For
flies.
battle.
And
It's-
singing.
Yeah.
I have a question, and
Yes.
I think we can talk about this. So we basically had 12 days left of shooting, and then and then SAG strike happened. And I will say that the way things were segmented, Defying Gravity was
The last thing
the
to
last
do.
thing that was. So I'm thinking, wow, Cynthia is holding on to this and considering this, and it's all leading up to like this thing
Yeah.
that is going to be talked about.
Yeah.
And will be very difficult to pull up, and it's a collaborative thing with
Yeah.
you and with John and with everybody.
Yeah.
And then the strike happens.
Yes.
Like wild sort of like wild stoppage.
Disruptive.
You're not
Like
disruptive.
at the bridge, and then you don't cross. over the bridge.
Exactly.
Ooh.
What was that like
Waiting.
for you? What was it like to go back to it?
At first, it started off like torture, like because I felt like I was ready.
Yeah.
Because we had gotten right there, and I was like, okay, we're ready. I'm ready. Like I'm game fit. I'm good to do this. And then I had to accept we weren't coming back quickly. But you don't let go of. They don't go anywhere. The character's sort of like sitting in you, sort of like. So I'm still like getting my body ready, working like I'm still on set, but not on set.
But not on set.
So I'm like doing all those things, trying to like feed my body, making sure that I'm working out the way I need to work out, making sure that I'm keeping my voice the way I need it to be, and like checking in, but also having to let it go just a little bit so that I don't drive myself insane, because it's still there and I'm still waiting. And also there's like the anticipation of having to do it. It never really left until we come back.
Yes.
And when I come back, I was like ready to do it, you know? And then I get ill.
Oh,
got
I
sick.
forgot about this.
What happened?
Just the worst kind of flu you could possibly have.
Oh,
I mean,
no.
my skin was hurting.
Oh,
What?
It was horrible. The day after my birthday. I was in on my birthday, rehearsing and training for flying. The next day, totaled.
I remember I had rapped, and then I came back to New York,
Yeah.
and then they were like,
She's
Cynthia's sick. I was like, God, let this woman live.
She can't know peace.
Let this woman know peace.
when I say you, I was so sick.
Oh,
Like running a fever, the fever would break, then the fever would come back again.
concerning sick.
Yeah. Like I was like, I don't know.
Demoralizing.
When is this gonna stop?
Yeah.
It just went on for like a week, a whole week and a half. I was down. So I was like, okay, when are we gonna do this?
Right.
Yeah.
Because at this point, I'm annoyed with myself.
Yeah.
I'm like, why is this happening now?
Yeah.
I mean, is there something in retrospect now where you're like, God, it was like one last mountain to scale or something?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's weird. I think the universe was forcing me to really earn it.
Wow.
So that when I really got there,
The
I
universe
was like,
needs to relax.
I know, but she's always
Tighten
doing
them
the
up.
most. Like, always doing the most. Always
Yes.
making me earn shit. Like,
Yeah.
leave me alone for a second, please. Because I'm always working, bitch.
Yes.
Like, what the heck?
Yes.
But, like, it really was that last sort of, like, let's see. Do you really want to do this? It really felt like that. And so when we got here, I was like, right, let's go. Let's do this.
Yeah.
You fucking earned it. That's
Thank
all.
you.
That's all we can say.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But God, it is. This is what I'm telling people. This is my little press quote. My favorite last 10 minutes of a film in cinema history.
It's epic.
Thank you.
And I will say,
Yes.
and people know the story. Like, I think watching it again last night, I was like, oh my God, Cynthia is so dialed in every single frame of you. Of the levels of betrayal that
Yeah.
are setting in
Yeah.
in that moment when you find out what you
Yeah.
were brought to do.
yeah.
I was like, every moment of this,
Yeah.
when you walk to the Grimmery, when you take it with you, when you run away, I'm like, it's all perfect.
Yeah.
It's all perfect, Cynthia.
And John just let me go. He
Yeah.
just was like, here's where you're moving to.
Yep.
Just
Go. We'll follow you.
We'll follow you.
What did it feel? Can I ask what it felt like when it was a picture app?
Ooh.
I crumbled because I was the last one
Out.
on the set. I was the
Yeah.
last one out.
Wow.
And I can't even describe the feeling, because it was, when the only time I felt similar was the last show for The Color Purple, where you're carrying something for a really long time and like happy to carry it, like it's the best possible weight you can hold, and you're like, this is I'm carrying, it's part of me.
Yeah.
And then that you hear it's closed, or that wrap, and it's like someone takes the weight from you and puts it down.
Yeah.
It was like putting a piece of myself down for a bit. And it was so quiet, that last shot. John, because we'd finished shooting Defying Gravity and they had like just one little incidental to shoot left. And it was just like me lifting flowers in a hall or something. And I just was like, it was so quiet.
And it felt right for it to be quiet.
Yeah.
I think.
Do you think in those moments, because it's Elphaba and because it's Celie,
Yeah.
the reason why it means so much is because you're genuinely saying goodbye to that character? I would imagine that Celie is not something you'll revisit.
No.
Yeah.
And literally not like, probably not Elphaba unless it's for like a Universal Studios
Yeah.
ride. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Not to bring that up, but it's
Yeah,
like,
true.
and that will be
It was
be
like
its own-
saying bye to really close friends.
Yeah.
Like family, yeah.
So I would imagine, like, you know, these things that they have impact, but really it's like because it's personal. That's
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah.
It's like it's
Like
grief.
taking care of a person for a really long time. It was like,
Yeah.
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 Yeah, it's grief.
I cried for like hours after that.
Yeah.
I couldn't like get rid of the feeling. And the day after was so weird. I just didn't even know what to do with myself.
Yeah.
How could you not?
Yeah.
And it has probably nothing to do with, oh, this moment, maybe I could have done this, that. It's
No.
genuinely, it's like a human relationship.
Yeah.
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 Mm.
Yeah. Like taking the green off for the first time was the
Wow.
last time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm not doing this again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you probably get used to that in some regard with theater, you
Yeah.
know, because that's the thing about being in this business that I think is one of the things that takes at least me by surprise, and I would imagine everyone is, oh, I come in here and I make really great relationships,
Yeah.
and then they do end.
Yeah.
You know, you maintain those people in your life. Like, you'll always be friends with
Yeah.
so-and-so, and you'll always have that memory, but you don't go to work again like
No.
everyone else
No.
does.
No, no, no.
And so it's not just those people, it's that person you play when you put
Yeah.
so much into it.
Yeah, and I guess for Elphaba particularly, because she's such a transformation, because I do spend like 3 hours getting her together in the morning.
Right.
You know, she doesn't like, you have to care to put her together.
Yes.
And then she appears.
Yeah.
You know, it really was like, oh, I'm letting someone go. Like, I'm never going to see this person again. It's not
Yeah.
like, you know, Celie's wonderful, but she had my face. You know, I didn't have to really put her on. And you put her on, but it's like a wig and an
Yeah.
outfit. Elphaba was a complete transformation.
Yeah.
I disappeared
Yes.
when Elphaba came into the room.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It was a beautiful construction.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like like a crafts.
Yeah.
Like a work of crafts
Yeah.
person.
Everyone, like the amount of work that went to putting her together,
Yeah.
the people that, you know, the relationships you make with those people who are with you for 2.5 hours before anyone else sees you in the morning at the crack of dawn.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the night, they help to sweetly take her off again,
Yes.
and you put to bed. But this last time, that was the last time.
Yeah. Because she existed for a while.
Yes.
And now she does exist, but like in that way. But
Yes.
yeah, I understand
Yeah.
what you're saying. Fascinating.
Yeah.
We have to ask you the central question of our podcast.
Yes.
So do you want to pose the question?
Yes, Cynthia Erivo, what is the culture that made you say culture is for me? The formative kind of cultural thing that made you who you are.
The cultural thing that made me who I am. I guess music.
Uh-huh.
The culture of music.
Yes.
Because there is a culture of it. I think that's the thing that it's like after I actually think it's the first language I learned. I think it's the first thing I understood. My mum says that I was singing when I was 2,
Wow.
and I was putting words together, but like you're still figuring out sentence structure when you're 2. But I knew
Communicating in
Tune.
music made
Yeah.
more sense
You
almost.
knew
Yeah.
tune. Oh,
Interesting.
yeah,
wow.
that I think made me very much who I am.
And then would you say there was like a moment of understanding on a technique or a technical level
Yeah.
what it was?
I think when I was about 11, I really understood it. When I knew I could make the sound when I was about 5, and between 5 and the age of like 10, I was sort of playing around with singing a little bit, singing with friends. But when I was 11, I realized, oh, there's something I can do with this. There's a way I can use my voice and change the way things sound and mess around with things like. That's when I started to have a real technical understanding of what it was. Yeah.
Yes.
So I think that's something that becomes really obvious, like as you get older as an artist, is that there's singing and there's performance, and then there's being a recording artist, and those two things are so different.
Right.
But what you just said about like creating sound and using your voice in different ways is something that there is so much opportunity in with recorded music. So I know that you are working on a new project.
Correct, yes.
And that you worked with Ariana to do that.
Yeah, so what happened was I've recorded an album before, and the experience was not necessarily the experience that I wanted for myself.
Got it.
And it just was checkered with a whole bunch of stuff that wasn't right for me. And she and I had like a really sweet heart-to-heart. I sat down and I talked to her about my experiences and what was going on. She was like, well, it's because I had really interesting relationships with managers that just didn't really understand, and it got a little toxic from time to time.
Right.
And she was like, well, that's because you don't need a manager, Cynthia. It's because you already know what you want. What you need is a good label. What you need is a good team.
Producer, engineer, people
and
in the room
those
with
you need people who understand your idea and who can help you execute the idea. And so we started talking, and it just so happens that we're under the same label, but it's a different conglomerate, different imprint. So she introduced me to her imprint, and I started having conversations, and now I'm under a joint venture.
Nice.
So it meant that I had the care from the people that I wanted the care from before, and then new care from a team that was ready and raring to go, and that really understood the story I wanted to tell.
Yeah.
And so I've finished writing now.
Yeah.
The songs are written. They're like 5 seconds away from being fully ready. And whilst I was writing, I was sending it to her and having her listen to it, sending it back and forth, getting her opinion on it. She's heard the whole thing.
Incredible resource in terms of recorded
it's
music.
been amazing.
Like,
yeah. It's been like to be able to get her ear on things, because I trust her ear implicitly, has been really, really monumental. And now I'm kind of ready. So we're finishing touches and getting it all done, and by hopefully next year you'll have it.
Wow.
Yeah.
What is it giving? I'm trying to figure out a cool way to ask that.
People always ask like, what's the genre?
Yeah.
I think there are several genres just because of who I am and my like upbringing in music. My inspirations can come from anywhere, like from Enya to Aretha Franklin. So there's a lot of different mixes in between. So there's things that ended up being country, but I didn't mean them to sound like country. And there are pieces that are very R&B because that's what I'm raised on. And there are pieces that feel sort of like a little left field. It's a very eclectic album, but the through line is vocal padding. So I've used my voice as an instrument. So you'll hear
nice.
each song has its own vocal pattern, vocal rhythm, very specific to the song. But that's just what happened. And so each song starts with the voice first, and then we had instruments afterwards. A lot of what we composed and what we made started with the voice.
Wow.
And it's because my A&R, who's now the president of Republic, Wendy, who is amazing.
Wendy work.
She said, do you know about Enya? And I knew exactly what she meant immediately. And there is a song on Enya's album that is the basis for Ready or Not, Fuji's Ready or Not.
Yes.
And the moment exactly.
Yep.
And I was like, oh.
Yeah.
I understand.
Wow.
Yeah. That the idea that you can put two different things together, make them collide, and they make this one special thing. I just loved that idea. That because both those pieces, both the Enya piece and the Fuji's piece, are vocal forward.
Yes.
So I was like,
unforgettable.
That I can do.
Yeah.
That I understand. She's
That's
like, your voice is an
cool.
instrument, so just use it that way.
Because
really cool.
And like, if you don't mind me saying, like, you can do like the Enya padding on let's say Ready or Not, and then also give the Lauryn Hill.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's really exciting for you to find that.
Yeah.
It's also really interesting because Ariana has her thing with Image and Heat.
Right.
And so that's like almost like another way that you
That we
guys can
connect.
speak to each
Yeah.
other. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I loved the Vanity Fair piece that Chris Murphy, our friend, wrote.
Yes, he's the best,
He's
right?
the best.
The best.
Sweetheart, wonderful,
So
and I
sweet.
loved
Writer.
how he wrote that. I was so touched and moved that's what he really got us.
Yeah, he got you guys.
Yeah.
I read it. I just felt you guys through
Yeah.
the piece, and I mean, it ends on you in this really beautiful way,
Yeah.
and it just made. And I texted you right after. I was like, "This is so. I'm crying. This is so perfect."
I love
Oh,
it. Very proud of that piece.
So
yeah.
the album will be next.
Album's next. Yes.
Yeah, and then is there? It's crazy to even think like after you do something like Elphaba, obviously there's going to be years and decades more. But what do you want to do next? Like, in what's the next? What are you
I
running
know exactly
to
what
next?
I want to do next, but I don't know if I can say it because I don't want to like jinx myself and get myself into trouble.
Totally.
You can tell us after.
I'll tell you after.
Okay,
But I know what I want to do next. But on top of which, my production company is working on a series right now, and that seems to be going quite well.
Oh, good.
It looks like it might be greenlit very soon. We're like in the final processes of doing that. So it would be my project, and that might come to TV soon.
Amazing.
But I loved how big and explorative this particular piece was. I want to do that more. I want to just be adventurous with it. Yeah. And there's a play called Prima Facie
Of course.
Oh.
Of course.
that happened, and we're turning it into a movie. And
You're doing the film?
We're doing the film.
Oh, I saw
yeah.
it with Jodie. I mean,
and it's
it's a great piece of work.
and we've been through the mill with it because we were supposed to have shot it last year, and the strike, and then we lost some of the funding. But I think we're okay. Everything's coming back together, and I think we're getting a funding now.
It's
and
a
I think
pre-production. Oh no, the funding's still coming in.
funding's still
Got it.
coming up. But I think we've found it
Yes,
now.
yes.
So I think
That
we can
is
start pre-production
really
very soon.
exciting.
Yeah.
That is a tour de force. That
Yeah.
is a tall order. That is you
Yeah.
running to
It's
something
running
else
again.
again.
Yeah, it's running into
Hello.
it again. Running into the fire again.
Yes,
yeah.
yes,
But
yes.
I think the more these characters turn up that desire something, that need their voices to be heard, that like feel powerful, and not in the stereotypical sense of the word, but like have a power in them. I'm there. That's what
Yeah.
I want to do. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
One final thing.
Yes.
I was reading Middlemarch on set,
Oh yeah.
and I remembered you got a copy.
I do have a copy. I haven't read it yet.
I haven't finished it either. I was
Okay.
going to ask you if you finished it.
I haven't read it yet.
It's a big one.
Yeah.
George Eliot, huge book, but it's supposed to be amazing.
Good. Okay. Well, I'm going to get into
Okay.
it.
No,
Yeah.
when
I'm
you have the
actually.
time.
Well, actually, what I want to do is take like a couple series on the tour with me and
Yes.
see how I can like move through. So Middlemarch I might take with me as well.
Could be good.
I still have to finish A Little Life. I have to.
Oh, that's a
Oh my
hard
God.
I know it's hard. And I have put it off for a really long time, but I know it's going to be good. And
Yes.
but I have to just suck it up
Yeah.
and pick it up and just read. I have to.
You have to be in the
Right.
right environment. I
Yeah.
remember I tried to read it on a plane and I started to have an anxiety attack. I
Oh,
was like, "This isn't
no.
doing. This is not. I
Plane.
can't do this on a plane."
No.
It was because it's kind of rough and tumble,
It's
like
a
from the
lot.
jump.
Oh.
Like, and then it gets way worse. But like once Hanya, she doesn't mess around.
No, she doesn't. No.
No
She
way.
does not
No.
mess around.
No.
Are you ready for the tour?
Yes,
Good.
very much
You
so.
excited?
I think it's going to be absolutely manic and crazy
Of course.
and wild, but I'm okay with
But
that.
so fun.
Yeah,
Are the looks picked out?
the looks are picked out.
Oh,
Okay.
That must be such a fun.
At least
'cause you're
like the
such a
carpets for
template.
the premieres are definitely picked out,
Yeah.
and we're like fine tuning things.
Yeah.
But we're picking all the like the things in between. We're trying to make sure that we're considered for everything.
Sure.
Yeah, and so like the green of it all.
Yes.
Did you have a good relationship with that color before
It's
this?
actually my favorite color.
Perfect.
Which is the strangest, craziest thing. That is my favorite color.
No problem.
And now people think I'm just wearing it for this, and I'm not.
No.
I had a lot of green in my closet already.
Yes,
Like,
yes.
This is just an opportunity to get more.
Thank you for you quote unquote
This
using
is
this on us.
nuts.
Yes.
This is beautiful.
I'm really proud of this. I found this in a Paris vintage shop, and
Yeah.
it is an original Gianni
Gianni
Versace,
Versace.
Yeah, that
Wow.
is just
which is hard to
amazing.
find.
Yeah.
And really special. Yeah.
Last night at CFDA, you did black though, right?
I
that
did.
Was the hood.
Yes.
It was beautiful. You were giving
Thank
everything.
you.
But it must have been
Thank
kind of
you.
nice to like step out of it for a second
yeah.
and just have your isolated CFDA fashion moment.
It was nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it was. I had my little touch of green on my neck, and that was enough.
Of
Just the
course.
touch.
Just a touch. Yeah. Yeah.
Touch.
Yeah,
Cannot
I
wait.
loved that dress. I loved it. It made me
Yeah.
feel
Who
so
made
good.
that dress?
Zach Posen. Well, it's
Oh,
like
yeah.
Gap by Zach Posen. He'll say Gap Studios.
Yeah.
Sure.
But he is an atelier with Gap now, and
Yep,
he's
that's
been.
right.
That's what he did.
You have a great relationship with Zach
I
Posen,
do.
right?
I do. When I came to New York, I like nobody knew who I was, and I have a stylist. But this thing, Color Purple, was really taking off,
What's
and
happening?
and I was like, well. I have all these events to go to and I have nothing with me. I have my clothes, but it's not right for these very special events. So I went to his studio and I fit for like a dress, but he sent me away with like 9.
Yeah.
And separates and things that I could throw on if I needed, or if I, he just really took care of me and has done ever since. Yeah, he's just a sweetheart.
It's an incredibly fun part of it for an artist too, like because it's more storytelling, which I don't think people realize on the outside. It's like this is another opportunity.
Yes.
Well, I'm just saying, like, you and Ari are such perfect people for the scale of this kind of thing, because to me it kind of all began with the Met Gala, or with the Oscars and then the Met Gala. Yeah. But just like all the footage out of the Met Gala, even though it's like you're not really supposed to film any of this, like all of it that came out, I was just like, holy shit, this is gonna be major.
It works.
Yeah. It works.
Yeah.
We work together. Yeah.
But you're both really you're both such good fashion muses.
Yeah, we love. But I mean, it's terrible. The two of us are like, so. Did you see this? I'll send her. I saw this. What do you think of that? For her.
Yeah.
And she'll send me something. Hey, I saw this, and I think it's very you, Cynthia. She'll send it to me. It's we're the worst influences for each other, because we sort of like get what we need and what we want, and she'll send it to me, and she knows I'm going to be like, good. Bye.
Yeah.
It's fun to indulge
and I'll
each
send
other,
her something.
though.
Yeah, it's lovely. It's lovely that someone gets you that way. You know, it's nice to share in that way.
Totally.
Yeah, it's another way we can share creatively.
Of course.
Did you like working with my bestie?
I did. I have to say this, and I say it. I never say it when you're there, because I'm like always talking in passing. But Bowen has to be one of the most astute and intelligent performers I've ever had the privilege of being on a set with. No. I mean it. No, I mean it. And you have to understand, I'm a Capricorn. I don't like anybody. I don't say anything to anyone unless I mean it, and I really do. Like your ability to pick up on the surroundings and riff on what you see is second to none. You're so fucking fast. It's amazing.
Oh my God.
It is amazing to watch you work that way, and just like picking on the surroundings, on a detail on someone's clothing, on just like it's some of my favorite moments in the film are things you just say off the cuff.
Oh my God, Cynthia.
I don't see color.
Cynthia.
I think
deceased.
Enroll Here Often might be.
Enroll Here Often. Oh, anything. You
I mean, Cynthia, thank you so much.
The details. It's the details.
Well,
she needs a pastry.
Can I just tell you, like, because John, God bless him, like, gave me a lot of latitude, let's say, and I was gladly going to do it, but then at the back of my mind, I was always like, this is a bajillion dollar 2 movies, and he's going to let me ad-lib and, like, step on Winnie Holtzman's perfect, words. I was like, this is no way is this going to make it into the movie. This isn't going to work. And then I will say, and I'm so quick to judge myself and be like, oh no, that didn't work on a comedy level, whatever. I'm like, John M. Chu, the director you are, like, it all kind of fits.
It truly.
Somehow he made my nonsense like work in the world of
because
this
it
movie.
wasn't nonsense. Because it was observation. That is the difference.
Cynthia.
You know what I'm saying?
I appreciate that.
Really detailed observations. Every time something comes out of your mouth, it is an observation, which I love. It's perfect. Like, even like, yes, she needs a pastry. Is funny on the outside, but you're like in the situation.
Right.
It's like, please.
When she needs a pastry.
She needs a pastry. She's, it's so brilliant. You're spectacular. I had the best time. And you're so kind as well. So, like, thank you.
Makes me so happy.
Yeah.
Okay, they're out here doing like raps. So we have to
Okay,
everything so hot.
okay, great.
Okay, so this is our 60-second segment.
Okay.
Where we rant and rail against something in
I know
culture
this, I'm
that's
so
just
ready.
bothering us, and we're gonna do it. And I understand they're pointing, but this is happening.
We have to do it. We're happening.
Okay.
We're doing it.
So
Okay.
I have something, and it's a musical observation I'm making about the people.
Okay.
Great.
Okay.
This is Matt Rogers. I don't think so. Any time starts now.
I don't think so, honey. People who don't listen to lyrics and music. A dear friend of ours just said, what's this song about Sabrina Carpenter's Juno? So here's what Sabrina Carpenter's Juno is about. It's about being so into someone that you would like them to make you Juno. This is referencing the Elliot Page, Diablo Cody team up Juno.
Yes.
This is about being so sexually interested in someone you wouldn't mind if you got pregnant.
Right.
I'ma let you make me Juno. I was like, she's even being tongue-in-cheek after. Listen to words. I don't think so, honey.
Yes.
If you want to listen to beautiful orchestrations, I think so, honey. But the words, it all comes together. You're going to just listen to the tunes of when Cynthia
15
sings
seconds.
Alfie, listen to the words, know the story. Especially Sabrina Carpenter Juno, I'm like, this is a lyrical masterpiece. I was like, let's give it its due.
5 seconds.
You can't just listen to music, listen to words, understand, feel, then emote. You can too. Listen to words, write words, explore words, be words.
And that's 1 minute. Fantastic.
Yes.
I couldn't, I could never say who.
Okay.
But a friend of ours was like, what is this
I don't
song
know what this
about?
means.
I was like,
If you just
Juno?
listen.
Listen. Just
But it's
listen.
also maybe like a thing about not knowing references, like not.
maybe it was that. But
Yeah.
I was like, this movie was famous.
It was.
It was. It was.
It was. Listen.
Is.
Okay, I got
All
one really
right,
quickly.
so this is Bowen Yang's I Don't Think So, Honey. His time starts now.
I don't think so, honey. Walker's chips not being available in the United States.
Oh.
It is a British staple. Walkers are not Lay's.
It's not the
It's
same.
not Lay's. They have the same logos, but it's
They're not the same.
Different textures, different thicknesses,
Thank you very
different
much.
flavors. I need more. Why is there such a weird barrier between British snacks and American snacks?
It's true.
They need to come together. We basically have the same palates and the same tastes. I think we would appreciate a more of a crossover. I'm not saying like one should replace the other. I'm saying they can coexist in the
30
same market,
seconds.
which is the American market, which, you know, I am biased towards because I happen to live here. So and I just think Walkers, you can find them in your specialty shops, but I think we need more access to just the wider gamut
Yes.
of Walker's chips. Any favorite flavors?
I love a
15.
straight up ready salted.
Yes, salted Walkers. It's simple, but it's good.
And the salt and vinegar is not the same as the salt and
It's not
vinegar
the
here.
salt-
It's just not.
It's just not. And we just need
5
it here.
seconds.
There is. I've rented about Percy Pigs. They need to be more
Yeah.
widely
Yes, they
available
do.
as well. And
Yes.
Walker's chips is included.
And that's 1 minute. One of the joys of my life was coming back from London, and I was able to gift Bowen his Percy Pigs because it's his great
favorite.
distress.
My
Okay.
sister got got
All
it
right.
to me recently.
Well,
as
now I know. Whenever I go, I'll pick you up.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
That's easy.
All right, we get Cynthia out of here. This
Okay.
is Cynthia Erivo IS. I Don't Think So, Honey. Time starts now.
My I don't think so, honey, is onion and garlic in everything. I can't take it. I fucking hate it. I can't deal with the idea that the way you cook is only with onion and garlic. Every time I see someone do a cooking thing, they cut up onions and garlic so much and neglect to use any other flavoring in food. As a person who's actually allergic to garlic and my body just does not process it at all, I have had to find out ways to cook food using other herbs and spices, and it works. You can get just as much taste out of an Old Bay and a bay leaf and an asafoetida, which is actually it tastes a little bit like garlic, but doesn't give you the same horrible feeling that garlic does.
I've never heard of
if
this.
you just use your imagination
Yes.
and cook. I think people have stopped using their imagination about how they cook, and they use the basic herbs, and they always go for onion and garlic, and I cannot take it because the worst thing is when someone comes in and they're just reeking of garlic
No.
when you can avoid that and still have flavorful food if you decide to use your imagination, and that is my minute.
Also, thank God you're allergic to something that sucks. It sucks. Garlic sucks.
Oh my
smells.
God.
You smell awful. You feel awful.
We
Oh
need
my gosh.
different aromatics, different
Let's
flavor bases.
come on.
Yeah.
We need it.
I don't understand. And everyone's the amount of people who are like, well, how do you eat? What do you mean?
What do you mean?
Lots
Just
of
fine.
ways.
Fine.
Beautifully,
Just fine.
stunningly, talented.
Fantastically. And you know what? When I walk into a room, you can't smell me first.
You can't clock me. You can't clock my scent.
What do you think of ginger? He
Love ginger.
He did I don't think so, honey,
I
on
don't know
ginger.
ginger.
Pickled ginger is better.
Thank you.
Try pickled ginger. It's a different flavor palette.
I love it.
Becomes sweeter.
Becomes sweeter, and it's just a nice little hit
Yeah.
of acidity.
Yeah.
This
Wow.
has been so. It's so
Sublime.
amazing to get
Thank
to know
you
you
for
and to
this.
have you here, and you are Elphaba, and it's
Spectacular.
and thank God that you are.
Thank you very
so
much.
brilliant. We usually end every episode with a song, but I just want to. If you have 2 lines of anything on your spirit right now that you could sing, what is it to end this episode?
2 lines.
Or it could be one.
This is not to do with anything, but I've been listening to this lately, and it's one of my favorite songs. Why by Annie Lennox.
Oh,
I may be mad, I may be blind, I may be viciously unkind, but I can still read what you're thinking. I've heard it said too many times, you'd be better off besides. Why can't you see that this boat is sinking, this boat is sinking, this boat is sinking?
Oh my God! It is the most beautiful song. You're brilliant. Thank you
Cynthia.
so much.
Okay. Las Culturistas is a production by Will Ferrell's Big Money Players and iHeartRadio podcasts.
Created and hosted by Matt Rogers and Bowen Yang. Executive produced by Anna Hosnier and Hans Sani.
Produced by Becca Ramos. Edited and mixed by Doug Babe and Monique Laborde.
And our music is by Henry Kapersky. Hey everybody, it's me, Matt Rogers, letting you know tickets are on sale now to see me on tour. The Prince of Christmas tour, that is. I'm doing my whole album, Have You Heard of Christmas, plus a lot more with the whole band all throughout December. Go to www.mattrogersofficial.com to see me in a city near you.